that Buddhism follows the Jnana, Karma, Bhakti theories. You all find these three theories in Buddhist literature. I have studied Buddhism. I am postgraduated in Pali, not only in Sanskrit. I did research also. Actually, if you study with Buddhist literature, what he did is Buddha emphasized on yoga. Actually, he continued the yogic tradition in his Buddhist literature. He did nothing else that only continuing and researching and working on yogic tradition, yoga actually. How now you say how he is working on yoga? Because yoga means actually, you see what Patanjali says in Yoga Darshana, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga Darshana says about the mind only. And Buddha always speaks about the mind. Dhammapada starts with the verse mind. Mano pubbangama dhamma, mano pubba manomaya, manasachi paduttena bhasativa karotiva tatovanam dukkhamanmeti. And not only that, later in Khuddaka Nikaya also, in Digha Nikaya, everywhere Buddha you will find that he always Ashtanga Marga also. He always focuses on the mind. You control your mind, he says. There are several gadhas and several passages. I am not going to repeat all these things. But he say that is why I say that what he said. And this yoga, this mind, researching on mind and controlling on mind, and this is what actually Vedic literature, Vedas also are saying same thing. You see, in Rig Veda you find this Manas Sukta, there Tanme Manas Shiva Sankalpavastu. So this is what in Vedic mantra. The same thing Buddha also is saying. Mano Pubbangama Dhamma. In this way, if you think that this is not at all contradicting, and in later Mahayana Buddhism, if you see, there is a Yogacara school in Mahayana Buddhism. It is completely based on mind study only. They are called a mind-only theorists. They say only mind is existing, nothing else is existing. That's what their theory. So, this is always I am confusing in what way Sanskrit language was misunderstood, Sanskrit literature was misunderstood in India and also everywhere. Why actually only on Sanskrit always attacks on Sanskrit and misunderstanding on Sanskrit literature? Why misunderstanding Buddhism also? Why you are not properly understanding perfectly? You are not understanding. This is the problem, one of the problems in the field of Indology. And this problem is being created by some scholars like Sheldon Pollock. I think that's why he criticized and also he researched on his books, Rajiv Malhotra ji. And we have to do also that. And what Sheldon Pollock says that Buddhism only brought the literature in India. Means there was no writing style in Sanskrit, and due to before Buddhism, actually there were only Vedic mantras. Brahmins used to before Buddha, not just meaning. He said that only meaningless chantings of the Vedic mantras were existing. These poems and creative writing was not there in India, which was introduced by Buddhism, which is not at all correct. And let us think that before Buddha, what was there in India? Do you think that this is just meaningless chantings of the Vedas were there? It's not at all correct. It is not correct that Vedic sages were only fire worshippers. He said that only fire worshippers. They were just used to fire only, that nothing else. Buddhism brought the creativity, and the creative literature, everything has. It is not correct. See the Vedas once. Did you study the Veda? If you see the Veda, you will find many philosophical, cosmological discussions. For example, Asyavamiya Sukta and Nasadiya Sukta and various suktas of Rig Veda. You know what is the matter of the Asyavamiya Sukta and Nasadiya Sukta? They discussed how this creation actually originated. Nasadasi, Sadasi. You see, these profound discussions have taken place in Vedas. Then how you say that, how Sheldon Pollock said that only repeated chantings were there and Buddhism brought this, this is not correct. And we have profound philosophical discussions, not only in Vedas, Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Upanishads are known for these discussions. Upanishads are before the Buddha. And he also said that this writing and everything, civilization and this creative writing, everything came from by the foreign Kushans and Shakas. And because they came from Central Asia, and they have introduced all these writing system and skills and all that, which is not correct again. Before that only, as we can find in Vedic literature, we have so much science. In Chandogya Upanishad also we can find that Ekayevahu Rasadeva Agra Asit, Ekamevad Vidiyam, Tasma Dasata Sanjayate. All these things are, it's full of Vedic literature, is full of profound discussions of philosophy. The relation of Buddha with the prior profound knowledge of Vedic sages can be proved in many ways, in various manners. Buddha was highly influenced by Sankhya philosophy, actually. And this Sankhya philosophy is not just coming just itself. Sankhya philosophy is the development of the... Sankhya philosophy was basically found in Upanishads. And later on it became Sankhya philosophy, and that has influenced Buddha. And Buddha was highly, because if you see the Buddha Darshana and Sankhya philosophy, both are very, very, very similar. Both are based on same principles. Sankhya also says, you see, these three worlds are, everything is full of sorrow, misery, pain, everything. Dukkhatrayabhigata. Buddha also starts from dukkha only. So in this way, we have so much similarity between Sankhya and Buddha. Sankhya was pre-existing before Buddha, and Sankhya is because it just came from Upanishads. And Buddha's teacher was there. He studied Buddha, because Buddha, when he came, he left his palace, and all of a sudden he could not become the great scholar. You see, he studied with various people. He had two teachers, Arada Kalama and Udrak Ramaputra. And Arada Kalama was the great master of Sankhya, and he studied the Sankhya system. That is why Buddha learned from him. And in that way, Buddha was very much part of Vedic tradition. Pollock claims that Ramayana was composed by Valmiki based on the Jataka tales. This is very much unacceptable, because in Jataka, I also studied that in Jataka tales, there is one Jataka, Dasharatha Jataka. There is a small story actually. It's not very detailed, very brief story, but story is very different from Ramayana. There, Sita is the sister of Rama, and all such things are described. And what Pollock says that entire Ramayana, which is Adi Kavya, you see, about Ramayana it is said that Yavas Thasyanti Giraya, Yavat Vindhya Himachalau, Tavat Ramayani Katha Lokeshu Pracharishyati. As long as Himalayas are existing, and as long as Vindhya and this mountain is existing, so long Ramayana Katha continues. This is true also. You see, Ramayana is still continuing, ever interesting story. We have seen several movies and several serials, but still we are interested to something, watch and see Ramayana story, because that is the greatness of Ramayana. And he is such a great poem, Ramayana, which is Adi Kavya. How that great Indologist of America, he says that this is just based on Dasharatha Jataka, small. It is not at all acceptable. And he says that, in fact, he says that actually Ramayana, the story of Rama is nothing but the just imitation of Buddha's story, because they have imitated Buddha. And in order to defend his arguments, he delayed the dates of Ramayana. Because what he said that Ramayana was composed after Buddha. This is great injustice. But he could not supply the sufficient proofs for that. In Ramayana, if you see the Ramayana, you will never see the mention of Buddha or Jaina or Buddhists or Jains, anything, nothing else. Right. Nothing is found in Ramayana. If it is after Buddha, right, there should be some mention of Ramayana, Buddha and Jaina, something, but you never find any mention of Buddhists or Buddha or Jains or Jaina or anything. So that is quite evident that the Ramayana was written earlier than, much more before than Buddhism. And he delayed the date of Ramayana, and then he says that, and we cannot accept that because he could not give the proofs, but we can give the proofs. We can give the evidences. because you see in Ramayana, Kaushambi, Kanyakubja, Kampilya towns were mentioned, but not the Pataliputra. Because Pataliputra town was developed in BC 380 during the regime of Kalashoka. So it is quite evident that is why the Pataliputra was not mentioned in Ramayana. These ancient towns are mentioned very much, Kaushambi, Kanyakubja, Kampilya. And also in Ramayana, Ayodhya was not named as Saketa. Because Saketa was named, Saketa is given to Ayodhya only by Buddhists. So in Buddhist literature, in Jatakas, you will find this name Saketa, but not in Ramayana. So this is another evidence. And he says that, and also he says that Panini also after Buddha, he says.
Yes, very, very clearly.
And however, this is not just Pollock's theory. There are many other Western scholars before him. German scholar Winter Nietzsche, Keith and others have stated that Ramayana was composed after Buddha and Panini is after Buddha. But many Western scholars and Indian scholars have not accepted this view. Among them are the Macdonald, Jacobi, are very important. They did not accept Ramayana because they said Ramayana has composed much more earlier than Buddhism. And Panini, there is one famous scholar, Goldstucker. He said that Panini belongs to 8th century BC. So therefore, Pollock's theory that Panini came afterwards, because he tried to convince it through various arguments, because Panini used the Yavana word, Yavana. Yavana means actually Greeks, it is referred to Greek, because Yavana, the ones Panini uses Yavana means, that means Panini's Ashtajayi was written only after Alexander's invasion. That's what his conclusion. But before Alexander's invasion, Panini already knows about the Yavanas. Alexander's invasion was not needed for the Yavana's knowledge of Panini. Because Panini was born in Attak, in present Afghanistan and Pakistan area. So there, Yavanas used to come at that time. That's why he knows about Yavanas already before Alexander. Therefore, he used Yavana word. So in this way, this literature has been misunderstood, and this is what I find actually. This is a indirect attack on our culture and our language. They want to prove that, you see, Sanskrit is not very ancient, Buddhism is contradicting to Vedic religion.